Okay. Hey, good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Welcome to this series of calls for Future Career. We're organizing those calls to help people land jobs in US and Canada in the IT sector. So this is mostly a Q&A forum, so you're welcome to share your questions and whatever challenges that you're facing to land a job. My name is Ahmed Zaid. I've been an IT professional. I've been working with Microsoft, Indeed, PwC, Cisco, and others. I've been doing this for more than 15 years in US and Canada, and I've been, now transitioning to be an IT career coach, and I'm doing this as a full-time with my company, Future Career. Again, this call is not to sell you anything. We're just here to help you, answer your questions, provide you with insights with your challenges. I'm blessed to have my colleagues here, Samer and Jonathan. I'll let them introduce themselves, and then we'll go ahead and take your questions. Go ahead, Jonathan, if you want.
Hey, appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Just getting over a little bit of a cold, so my voice is a little bit sinusy and gravelly, but I'm a program manager at Microsoft. My technical job title is Senior Customer Success Account Manager, but basically it's program management. Been at Microsoft for about 3.5 years. Before that, I worked for about 20 years in the defense industrial base in the US. I'm based outside of the DC area. Would love to have you join my network so we can share and kind of the way I feel about these calls and this whole outreach is that the value of my network is what my network can do for you. And so hopefully if there's somebody you want to know at Google or Amazon or Microsoft or any of the major defense industrial based companies, you can leverage my network to do that. And that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jonathan. Samer, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Ahmed. Good morning, everybody. It's very nice to meet all of you and see those great talents active in the jobs market. My background is human resources and employment. I've been doing this since the last 18 years. I'm graduated master's degree from UK and approved member of the human resources practitioner in Canada, also UK and the Gulf area. I'm here to listen to your pain points, and then we share a few ideas and tips to leverage your opportunities in the job market and to let you also penetrate this tough market as well with a strong competition. Thank you.
Thank you, Samer. Okay, so again, this call is for you guys to ask questions. So we don't want to, keep preaching anything. We want to give you value to what you really want to answer or what is challenging you, what's keeping you away from your dream job. So feel free to unmute, ask your question, and we'll be happy to answer your question. Berlin, do you wanna? Okay, Aladdin, go ahead, Aladdin.
So first of all, I would like to really thank you for putting this together and continuously actually putting this, making sure people are reaching out and helping. I do want to also thank you for something that you have shared once in LinkedIn about Lighthouse Labs Institution. I took that actually seriously. Right now, I am doing a course in cybersecurity because of you.
Nice.
And I think this is something that hopefully would help me find or maybe broaden the chances for me to find my next opportunity. My name is Aladdin. I graduated from Western Ontario in London, Ontario as a computer science. That's back in 2004. And most of my experience is international. So I worked in Kuwait for 12 years in local companies and big companies like Huawei. Started as a programmer, made my way up to project management. I did my PMP and all. And then when I moved back with my family to Canada back in 2007, I joined Payments Canada. It's one of the crown corporates in Canada. Very good place to work. And I built my Canadian history there until last May. since May of last year, there was like I received a call that they gave me the news to terminate my contract. I was a full-time employee, and ever since until today, I've been struggling to find my next opportunity. Although like I was a bit confident that I would find it like really easy, given the fact that I have enough experience. I've done good amount of career experience in Canada. Payments Canada is well known. Everywhere knows what they do and they deliver like really complex projects. But it's been a surprise. I go to interviews one after another. I go for a second interview in certain companies. I felt like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna get the offer next. But the next thing I get is, sorry, we have to go for another candidate. I tried to even consult with some career coaches and some of those online resume reviews just to ensure like maybe my resume needs to be customized in a way that's coping up with the ATS systems and all. So I did that. So I tried to do everything. And right now I'm trying to pursue cybersecurity. Hopefully that would also solidify my background or my file in IT to get me something around the space of cybersecurity. But other than this, I don't know what's happening.
Okay, cool. First of all, don't worry, you're not alone. There is so many, people in your shoe right now. There is, it's a tough market. But again, I don't want to give the excuse that just it's a tough market, then we just complain and do nothing. There is always a solution for those kind of situations. I don't have your resume. I'm not sure how to help you with your resume now, but maybe we can do this offline. But I'll give you some tips, and those tips could help anyone who's hearing us today as well. So if your resume is customized well and optimized well and tailored to each job, you should be getting interviews. So if that's happening, then your resume is working for you. This is what's happening for you?
I had different reviews and edits of my resume that worked for me to get me interviews.
Okay.
But I'm not sure, like, even in LinkedIn, I am trying to always reach out. Like, even if I apply for a job, I try to reach out to those HR or hiring team. Sometimes LinkedIn, they put you the names to even give a message like, hi, I applied. Please take a look at my profile. This is my resume. Even just to bring like my chances up. Hopefully they can catch that. But yes, I do get interviews, but it stops mostly at the second interview.
Okay. So if you are getting interviews, that's a sign that your resume is working for you. So that's a good sign, first of all. Okay. So that means that you are doing a nice job with your resume, and that's an indication that you're getting interviews. If your interviewing rate is, less than maybe 10% of what you submit, and let's say if you submit 100 jobs, you get 10 interviews, that's a good rate. That's a very good rate.
Okay.
If you get 2%, that's still okay, but less than that means like you might need some work in your resume. Okay, so if you're getting interviews, that's a good sign. So you mentioned that you're getting interviews, but you're not able to get the offer letter. So how are you preparing for the interviews?
So I actually have different type of interviews, honestly. One type is, right now some companies now they send you like a questionnaire to fill up like some of those like IQ tests or aptitude tests to test your I don't know, IQ or EQ, and then they say like if you get a score, that means like this is like the pre-screening interview. So that's something like I have just to do and wait for the next steps. The typical interview, the traditional one, I try to first look at the company profile. I want to ensure, like, I also know what's their background, what service they do, in a high level. So this way it shows like I do care. I know I'm really interested. And plus that would even help the interviewer to get things, maybe ask less questions. I try to also see what are from the job description things that I'm missing, I try to see how I can answer the questions. Like if they, let's say they require certain skill that I don't have, that show like I'm willing to learn it, or maybe I already know something similar to it, and I'm on a way to, I have the capability of learning new stuff. So like I do those due diligence about the company, try to see what gaps I have, and see what I can cover it with some other skills I have.
Okay, so what do you think from those interviews? What do you think is the main thing that you feel like, oh, this is not something that I answered well? Like what type of questions are you not comfortable with? What type of situations that you're not really thinking your answer is helping you? Are you able to mock yourself after the interview, or you don't do that?
What do you mean by mock yourself?
Like, do you remember, what did you do in the interview, and then remember maybe those questions, and then, oh, I should not
replay the
use.
whole interview and see
Yeah,
what's
like
went wrong, what went well.
exactly.
I try. It's to be honest, like it's I always try to see, like, even when I get those questions about, or sorry, the final response about, okay, we were impressed by your skills, but we had to go with some other candidate, is that I would love to really know what exactly, like why it wasn't me or somebody else. I always try to do this follow-up emails, like, thank you so much for your time, but it would be really great if you can send me a line or two about what was missing so I can improve. And honestly, from how do I say, 150 companies, one only replied once, said that really we were impressed with everything, but the technology that they're using, they were in the health sector, IT health sector. That's something that I never worked in. That was just missing. So they said like everything was fine except we found somebody who has the skills or the experience in the health sector. So we had to go with that one. Other than this, they were impressed by my project management skills, the different projects I have done in before, which was actually asked during the interview. So like this is one of the type of feedback I would love to hear. Other than this, when I replay in my head everything, like I always end up with, maybe it's the salary. When they ask like what are your expectations, because honestly, from different company to another, they look into the salary in a different way, and they never mention, some of them or most of them, they don't mention actually the range, which makes things difficult, because you don't want to really go really high, especially with the market now is very competitive, and you don't want to really go too low, because you don't want to start a job with something that's going to put maybe financial burden on you.
100%.
So
Okay,
I would say, if to answer your question, like in summary, is will be the expected salary, and if there's a missing certain skill that they need.
okay, cool. I'll let again, my colleague Samer and Jonathan, give you some insights, and then I'll give you more afterwards. Samer, go ahead. I see you raised your hand.
Very much, Ahmed. Aladdin, you are raising really a lot of very important aspects of the job search journey. And some of them is related to resume, the way of application, the portal that you are applying, the way you attend the interview, how are you answering the questions, and then you reach to the point of receiving feedback. Let me take the feedback as the thing that
I'm having difficult actually hearing you very well,
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, I think Samer, you have some audio issues. Maybe your Bluetooth is not really working well. Do you wanna try again? No, we cannot hear you now. Okay, let's give Jonathan a chance, and then maybe you can join back with your audio. Jonathan,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, the process is one that is a balance, and I heard the financial aspect of it, and that's one that I always like to comment about. One of the things that Ahmed uses in these calls is, obviously you don't want to overshoot. I'm a huge fan of pay transparency, because I don't think that we as candidates should be guessing what a company is going to be paying. There are resources out there, obviously, that can help kind of narrow down the range a little bit. But you mentioned that you're PMP qualified. I've seen people who make, who have PMPs who are getting paid 40,000 US. I've seen people have PMPs that get paid 200,000 US. That's a pretty vast range, right? And obviously, if anybody were to ask anybody on the call, like, which would you rather make? I mean, nobody's going to go with the 40, I don't think. So one of the things, where I like what Ahmed puts out is he talks about basically your baseline. What do you need to do to keep the lights on? What do you need to do to make sure that you shouldn't, I mean, in my opinion, personally, and I very rarely use that word, you shouldn't go to work if it's costing you more money. If you're going to work and it's costing you money to go there, it's like, there was a situations in past where I've mentored and coached where, like, I have had coworkers that had kids and they were basically going to work. The entire paycheck went to their daycare. I mean, we could talk all day about how that's a flaw in the daycare system, but it's the nature of the business, right? So it's like, okay, they just ended up staying at home because it was easier. If you start with your baseline, what your costs for you to live and keep the lights on and take care of you and yours, because your family should be taken care of, and then go from there, then kind of anything above that is bonus, right? You certainly don't want to undersell yourself. And so I always try to ask when it gets time to talking about the salaries, what is the range for this position? Because they have an idea of, and I think it's one of those things that I like to push back when the recruiters ask, like, well, how much are you expecting to, well, what, based on your experience, based on this role, based on my experience in education, what is the range of this position? And typically they'll give me, like, we're targeting, this range. Well, obviously they're going to give you the number that's on the lower end of that range, and that's fine. Depending on how strong a candidate you feel like you are, you can push that if you want. I talk about total compensation a lot because it's not just the salary, it's stock awards. If it's a large, company, you have reserve stock units that you could also include that may not, factor into your salary necessarily, but are ways for you to increase your overall compensation. Some companies pay for your health insurance, which, I'm sorry, I forgot the audience is mainly Canadian. Yeah. So, in the US, we pay hundreds of dollars a month for really terrible health insurance. So, some of those things are nice to have somebody else paying for them. It's like, it's bad enough that I have crappy health insurance, but if somebody's paying the $250 a month premium, I feel less terrible when I go to the doctor and they're like, we don't cover this. So I think it's a matter of, definitely don't because the worst thing you can possibly do is get into a new role and not be making, find out that because everybody talks at some point in time, right? And find out that you're, everybody around you is making 20, 30, 40, 50 more, than you are. And that's a tough spot. So it is hard. And the other thing I wanted to say that you did comment about, it's a tough market. And I'm glad that Ahmed quoted Coach Mel because I love what he says. The market's the market. It is a challenging market. I'm interviewing right now and applying for jobs both inside and outside of Microsoft. And it's hard. There's a lot of times I get ghosted. There's a lot of times that people just don't respond. But if you imagine there's thousands of candidates, who apply to every single role, the struggle is just, it's impossible for a recruiter to get back to everybody. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I'm not going to badmouth HR or recruiter folks. It's a tough job. What I do say, and what I pitch a lot in the networking calls that I do on my own, is the big pile to the little pile. And that's where networking comes in. It's tough because you're already in the mix. You're already in the throes of this. You already need a role. But it's networking. It's looking and saying, okay, I want to be in this company. Well, I'm going to go out to LinkedIn and I'm going to search on LinkedIn and I'm going to leverage the LinkedIn tools to find 5 or 10 people to connect inside that company who can help. Because what's really helping these days, and I'll tell you from my experience, the 5 interviews I've had over the last year inside of Microsoft all came from my networking, all came from somebody pulling me out of the big pile. And I'm an internal candidate, pulling me out of the big pile and putting me in the little pile. So the interview loops I've been able to get into are all as a result of my network. And we're talking ridiculous, like a guy who I hadn't seen in 20 years that I served in the Army with. I'm old. He helped talk to his boss to get me pulled into the interview loop because I found out that the role was on his team. And so it's like, it's so key. The network is the most key and critical thing beyond your resume, beyond your LinkedIn profile. That network is so important. And so if you don't have a vast network in a specific company, build one. None of us knew each other. I didn't know you. until today. And so now we're connected, hopefully. And then from that, we can build and develop a relationship. But don't feel weird about like reaching out to randos on the internet and being like, hey, I see you work at this company. Keep it simple. I'm interested in a job at this company. Would love to connect, spend 15, 20 minutes, and then have a coffee chat and then go from there. Thanks.
So thank you so much, Jonathan. That's definitely great wisdom here. Sam, I'm not sure if your audio is... No, we cannot hear you still. No, we cannot hear you.
It's
No, we
better,
cannot hear
maybe.
you. Oh, now it's good. Go ahead.
Coming? Okay. Yeah, I'm very bad in IT, obviously. That will make me look weird even here. So, okay, biggest struggle for HR is IT. And okay, Aladdin, you raised very important things that need to be addressed for the whole journey of recruitment, from the how are you applying, where are you applying, and what tool are you using. Those three things are very important. To achieve a job offer, there's a lot of things to achieve. So there's no one tablet or one solution for everything. Of course, you need a good resume. Like, okay, if I start counting, there's a lot of things. You need to figure out what is the thing that is reducing your opportunity and competitive advantage in the market. Let's agree that you are qualified. You have already achieved good jobs in the past, and you see the value of your qualification and experience. The other thing we need to agree on is the job market is hiring, and it is better than any other countries in the world. So what's going on? There's companies, they have vacancies, they're advertising. I have a value. We don't see each other. Human resource don't see you yet. So we need to create a bridging between both. The bridging, we need to understand how is this happening. So when HR, or like, let's say any department in the company, they want to hire a vacancy. What will they do? They will go to HR. Although they don't trust them, hiring manager, they like to hire directly by themselves. And here where it comes to the very important thing that Jonathan mentioned is networking. So you can network with the hiring managers, with the departments, with the IT directors. You can network with these people. But really try to network with HR. They will never reply. It's a black hole. So HR don't like networking. HR, they think we have vacancy, we open a vacancy on the website or put it on the job portals. You go and apply there. If you contact me directly, you want to network with me, I will block you. I don't want to network. I don't want to speak. Job vacancy, apply there. Okay. Then when it comes to the job vacancy, how would you apply? You use a tool that is designed and decided by HR. So when you apply for a visa to Germany, you use a different application than what you use for Australia and America. Everyone have different application. The resume is what HR decided this is what we needed to look like. So there's a certain rule to write the resume. The moment HR like your resume, they will push you for the next step, which is the interview. If they don't like your resume, they will just shred it in silence and hide it, because HR is lazy. They don't want to write another report to give it to the hiring manager based on their rules. They want you to follow their rules, and they just want to take this resume and submit it to the hiring manager. So this is an important thing. You mentioned a very important inquiry about how do I know what do they want? How do I know? Let them tell me. I send them an email, give me feedback. Okay, what is the job of HR? HR, their job is to protect themselves in their jobs. That's their main goal. They don't want any trouble. So they don't want to go anything out of the system. Even if you are a magnificent person, they want to see a good resume at the end. So to send them and tell them, give me feedback, they are facing every day hundreds of people with bad ways of presenting themselves. They are not going to fix the world. And they don't want to spend time giving you feedback. They want to spend time to fill their vacancies. So whoever is not matching the requirement, they will just tell them, sorry, you are overqualified. Sorry, the competition is very tough. Try again next month, we have another matching vacancy. All this vague responses, because they don't want to get into confrontation and get into dilemma with you to spend more hours to give you feedback. They want to focus on their job. Here where it comes, there's a specialized people in the market who is called human resources and employment coaches, like Jonathan, Mr. Ahmed, myself, many others in the market. You pick a best person for you, and this person will study your case and will give you feedback. And we are providing a lot of free opportunity even for assessment with Mr. Ahmed. Also, he's reviewing with a lots of people, and definitely his time is very valuable. So he might give you some of his time, but again, he also have commitments. And this is where you get the right and genuine feedback.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. So Aladdin, I guess I'll give you, a quick few seconds here about, interview specifically, and I'll give you, what I help people with, mostly when companies are hiring, they are very scared to hire the wrong person, so they wanna test everything to make sure that you are the right person. They are investing tons of money to hire, and the ramp up period takes at least 6 months or 3 months for anyone to be productive in a new job. So that's a lot of time and lots of money too. So that's why they try to test you as an employee in different aspects. They want to check if the team will like you. So sometimes they will put you in an interview with the team. Sometimes they put you in an interview with the stakeholders that you will work with. Sometimes they put you in an interview with their customers, even if you're going to present them to their customers. They want to see if their customers like you and they are, want to be working with you. So your challenge here is to how can I impress all those people and make them have a good impression about me. And at the end of the day, your job at the interview is to prove that you are a problem solver. You can solve the problems that they are looking for to fill that gap in their company. So if you're not able to show those things during your interview, that's definitely going to make you, unfortunately, don't land the job. So when you are in an interview, you should not speak a lot about yourself. You should speak more about the company, the role, the team, and what are the problems that you can help solve, and how can you scale the business? How do you understand the challenges that they are facing? If you give me those insights during the interview, definitely, those are the behavioral interviews. The technical interviews are very important that you have a thought process. They don't want you to memorize all the codes and commands, but at least you have a thought process. You know how to think, how to start, how to develop, solutions in a fast time. Because again, this is the problem of today. AI has disrupted the whole market. So there is so many softwares today that are replacing jobs, right? So if your job is repetitive or there is so many things that can be automated, then you already got replaced by a software, unfortunately. And so this is where you need to show the value of what you have done before to bypass that you can use the AI to solve problems. Now, this is the biggest challenge of today, that you can use the AI and use those technologies to solve bigger problems and more complex problem than we used to see before. Is that helping you so far, Aladdin?
It's a big help for sure, because just like you said, and I think a lot of HR, they're using AI even for filtering resumes. So it's a key, I think, nowadays to even understand AI very well, to see like how you can tailor your resume that can bring your chances up in through the AI. And I do agree. Every job is different. Every time you go for an interview, it's maybe the same set of questions, but sometimes you need to do different answers.
100%. And again,
And
if you're starting to prepare for interview today for interview next week, you're already late, unfortunately. So preparing for interview takes at least 2-3 months, because there is so many questions that you have to prepare yourself for, and those questions have signals. The interviewer, they want to ask for signals to understand, are you going to stay with us or not? So for example, what where do you see yourself after 5 years? This is a signal. They want to see, are you going to stay with them or not? If you tell them that you want to do something that is not available in their company, that's a sign that you're not going to stay. You see the point? So if you just tell them, oh, I want to be a manager, I want to be this or that, then that's not really the right answer. Why should we hire you is a question that even if they don't ask you, you need to answer. You need to answer that question, even if they don't ask you. Why? Because if you show me that you know the problems that I'm facing, if you show me that that you know the company, you know the culture, you know the business, you know the stakeholders, you know the profit, you know the competition, all those kind of things, and your answers are showing those things, then you're the best candidate for this job. But if your answers are only speaking about something that is not related, then definitely you lost me already.
So,
No.
so you're saying the best way to answer this, why we should hire you, or tell me about yourself, is to actually try to grab as much problems they have, that how you can add value and solve it, not just talk about your experience and what projects you have done in the past or something.
No.
Interesting.
Again, you could have a PhD, you could have masters, you could be the best scientist ever, but if you don't know the problem that I'm facing, you cannot solve my problems. You cannot help me. Then you're not the right person. So this is where, again, preparing for an interview is very important, and it takes a while. You have to do a lot of mock interviews. You need to get feedback from some friends or colleagues or coaches, to really tell you, what you're saying right, what you're saying not right, what's limiting your chances. This is how you will grow. Does that make sense?
It does. But the trick here is, how do you find out what exactly the gaps or the problems or like why they want to hire you, so that you can answer the right question, the right answers.
This is your research. This is your research. You have to do information interviews, and this is why, again, finding a job is like marriage. Okay, finding a job is exactly like marriage. Why? Because now, if you don't like the company, and if not passionate about it, you will not stay a lot, right? This is exactly what they don't want. So they want you to stick around for good. They don't want you to join and leave after 2 months or 3 months or 1 year. They want you to stick around for good. So if they don't feel that you have those kind of passion and fire, excitement to get married, get the job, then it's a bad sign for hiring you. So this is where, again, your research, your information interview, networking, as Jonathan mentioned, with people who are doing those jobs already, they will tell you exactly how things work. What's in Microsoft, for example, empathy is a big thing. Growth mindset is a big thing. If you don't show those signs in the interview, then unfortunately you already lost. Okay, I don't want to take too much with you, because I see Ursula has has her hands raised, and I want to take time for others too. But is this helping you so far? Does this give
It
you?
does. And definitely, I look like to spend some time maybe with you, just to
Sure.
go over my file and all. Definitely, you guys have a very good, insightful help here. It's always good to use a good help.
Happy to help, Aladdin. Happy to help. Okay, Ursula, sorry for keeping you waiting. Go ahead.
No worries. Thank you so much, Ahmed. So hey everyone, I'm Ursula Hicklin. Jonathan, it's so good to see you. I know I met you Friday, finally in person. And I saw on your LinkedIn that you shared this meeting as well. So thank you so much. It's my first time here. And just real quick, well, first of all, I do want to say thank you all for having this platform. And then also thank you for your words of wisdom that you just shared with Aladdin here, because actually kind of answered some of the questions that I had. But I wanted to, for my specific case, just kind of wanted to get you all's insight and kind of feedback on certification. So I have an extensive background in healthcare, and so in healthcare consulting, and so primarily 65% of my in my role is to ensure that the IT work stream process is completely seamless in our healthcare systems. And so I've been driving from those operational efficiency and implementing some of those tech forward solutions like, data analytics and compliance systems. And so recently I became Azure certified because I felt that this would be a great step toward like broadening my technical foundation, because although I'm not responsible for the actual task that must be completed, I'm responsible for kind of managing that process and making sure that I connect internal stakeholders with external stakeholders in a global matrices. So like from C-suite level down to the IT support help desk, to kind of give you all some context there. And so it almost seems like in my job search, what I've realized is trying to make the transition to tech, that sometimes it feels like the certification, the Azure certification, isn't enough. Right. I know there's like other initiatives like the generative AI certifications that are out there. There are other cybersecurity, to Aladine's point, like cybersecurity certifications that are out there, kind of help me stand out more in some of these roles that I'm trying to target. But one of the things I am a little leery of is that I don't want to fall into a trap of constantly chasing certifications without kind of focusing on building those practical and impactful skills that employers have come to recognize in the marketplace. So based on you all's experience, I guess that's the first question. So based on you all's experience, like how are you balancing those certifications with that hands-on experience, and any advice for like, how can I articulate being able to communicate those processes, even though I don't have hands-on experience in actually building a technical solution from scratch?
Very good question, Marcella, and hopefully I'll try to guide you as much as I can. So before I answer your question, I need to ask you one question before, and I'm sorry, because this is what coaches mostly do. They ask questions, So
That's fine.
So what's your target role, first of all? Why are you taking those certifications, or what you're looking for to take those certifications for? So there might be some target that you want to achieve, right?
Yes.
So
So
Mhm.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, you need to be specific about that target, because if you're not specific about that target, then unfortunately you will be overwhelmed with the amount of knowledge, technology, and certification that's out there.
Mhm.
Today, there is not any shortage of knowledge or certifications in the market. There is so
Right.
many, so many that you cannot, unfortunately, even if you want to just be Microsoft, certified in everything, that might take you at least 2-3 years. And by the time you finish all those certifications, there will be new ones that will
Right.
come up. So again, it's not like a chase, and I don't want you to fail in that to fail in that trap, because it's tough. So what you need to do is, again, first define your target. Which role am I really, really, really excited about? And what is that role name, and what does that role do? Because if you have that role specific, and then the next step, if that role is clear for you, you need to speak with people who are doing that role, and those people will tell you exactly what certifications, what knowledge they grabbed to learn and become professional and become experienced in that role. So if you don't do this kind of process, unfortunately, you will always be in the vicious cycle of I'm still missing out. I'm still missing out. I'm not really delivering enough. I'm not ready for that role. And then this self-sabotage unfortunately affect us all. We're all in this dilemma. Does this help you so far?
Sorry, had to find the mute button. Yes, that is
Anyways.
definitely helpful. It's a hard question to answer. I will be quite honest, to be quite candid. It is definitely a hard question to answer, because what I've noticed is during my search, specifically with Microsoft, right? There's the business program management side, which I have those fundamental skills, and then there's being at a startup for years. Like, you have to be able to build everything, right? So it's not just IT, right? There's an entire
Yes.
gamut of services. We're talking about operations, we're talking about P&L management. And so it almost seems like everything aligns. And so I think like I appreciate the feedback here, because I'm going to actually just take some time and really kind of target that. And so I do know in some instances where I've applied, they don't require certifications. They just for like a whole gamut. It's just like, are you Azure certified or not? Right? Do you have knowledge about our products? And that's, definitely I check that box, but just kind of to your point, getting a little bit niche on applying for those roles and being specific on what I want to pivot into. So I guess that brings me to my next question, because when I'm tailoring my resume to the roles, I'm trying to be as net neutral as possible, because again, with an extensive background in healthcare, it kind of jumps off the resume. And when you apply for certain roles in tech, they're like, oh, well, no, this is healthcare tech. This isn't really like for the monetization department, or this isn't really for like, customer success. And you're like, it actually, there's some transferable skills, and maybe it's the way that my resume is currently set up, but I just definitely would love to hear you all's thoughts on that as well.
Sure. I'll again give you a few seconds here and then pass it on to Jonathan and Samer to share their wisdom. Again, as you mentioned, it's a transferable skills. You say what you want to say, and they will read what they want to read. So if you don't, try to show again, what problems are you able to solve from your previous experience that would help this current employer to grow and depend on you and put you in those fires or those challenges that they are facing today. That's why they are hiring you. This is your best way to pass from a resume to an interview. If you again don't show me in your resume that you are the right person who solved that problem, you understand the challenges that this industry is facing and how those things can be solved, then unfortunately I'll definitely don't want to waste my time or my hiring manager interview time to speak with someone who doesn't understand me. Again, like marriage, again, it's almost like marriage all the way. So remember, like if you want to write a note to someone who you want to marry in the future, so you definitely need to make sure what are their passion, what will make them excited about you, how can they get to know you more, how can they feel like, oh, you're the right person that I can depend on, those kind of things. Again, it's tough, it's not easy, but it's not difficult. It takes a while. And specifically for Microsoft is growing every day and it's changing every day. Like whatever, I left Microsoft almost now 3 years. And I'm sure, if I come back today, I'll have to spend a lot of time to ramp up again. It's not like, I can just jump in again. It's changing quickly. That's why Microsoft is the leader in the market. If they don't change quickly to adapt to their customer needs, to adapt to the challenges that is available today, then they will not be the leader. Okay, I'll pause here. Jonathan, please go ahead. I know you have a ton of wisdom here, so please go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to go back on, I caught most of it because I'm in a loft, and so I went downstairs to my kitchen to get some coffee and came back. But the cert thing is always one that is really interesting, and I'm going to pick on Aladdin right now because he's got a PMP. I do not. Ahmed has a PMP. I do not. That's not to say anything about those who are certed and those aren't. I know that I've left money on the table as somebody who does not have a PMP. So there is value in certs. But there also needs to be some competency behind that. So, make sure you're not just certing up for cert sakes, because I've seen tons of people who just go get certs out the wazoo because they're like, oh, I'm going to get these 1,000 certs and then I will never be able to be laid off. The truth is that, people who have PMPs get laid off. People who don't have PMPs get laid off. There is no guarantee in the market today, and that's just the reality. So the things that I suggest when people come to me and say, hey, I'm interested in X, Y, and Z, talk to them through like, hey, if you want to get your PMP, it is the gold standard for program management and project management. If you want to know about Azure, I suggest that people look at our AZ 900 certification, but I also suggest that people focus on and look at other people's cloud technologies. People are like, well, why? I want to only be at Microsoft. Well, because the reality is that lots of other people want to be at Microsoft. Thousands, tens of thousands of people be there. My personal story, I got cold called by a recruiter. The only reason I'm at Microsoft, I never applied for a job at Microsoft in my life. I didn't even know Microsoft was in the type of work that I do, national security wise. And the only reason I'm here is because a recruiter cold called me and said, hey, we have this job in customer success. Are you interested? So I understand and recognize how fortunate and lucky I am to have had that experience. But people apply hundreds, multiple hundreds of applications and still never get in. So I always tell people, if you're looking at things to focus on cloud technologies across the big three, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. Focus on AI. Anything that's cloud or AI related is going to benefit you. But also balance that with all of the other things that you need to do as a candidate who's job searching, because it's easy to go down that cert rabbit hole and just be like, well, I'm going to get certs. And then you can spend all of the rest of 2025, which there's 354 more days left in 2020. You could spend all of the rest of the days of 2025 getting nothing but certs and still not have a job at the end of all of it. And that's the thing it's always a balance. And that's really important. So if you, after job searching, Ahmed has a great demonstration of this that he always talks about that I love quoting: treat your job search like a job. So spend 6 to 8 hours, whatever's reasonable, but there's no benefit of spending 14, 16 hours a day. You're just going to burn yourself out, and then you'll be burnt out before you even start your new job. But if you can carve out during your day, everybody's got the same 24 hours in a day. If you can carve out some time to plus up and skill up on things, there's tons of free resources out there to help you learn about these things. Do not go down the rabbit hole also of spending money, because until you've exhausted all the free resources. Because if it's free, I'll tell you what, for my old days in the Army, if it's free, I'll take 3, because I don't want to spend money on something that I could get for free. And I will never recommend anybody spend any money on anything unless you just have money to spend, and it's like, if you want to go spend $500 for a headshot, I got you a photographer. And they go up from there. But if you want one for free, I can find you a free headshot photographer. Or I can teach you about how to do, get a free headshot. Like, one of my buddies took a selfie in the bathroom and used an artificial background, and it was perfect. It was a great headshot. It showed him smiling. Yeah. At the end of the day, you don't have to spend a ton of money in order to get these things. So definitely, as far as the certs are concerned, I just wanted to chime in and talk about that. And then as far as the transferable skills, I think that Ahmed nailed that. Transferable skills are hugely important, because you're in healthcare and you want to go into something else. Focus on the things that you've done, that will transfer. And there's so many generators online right now that if you say, hey, I need help transferring these skills, or plug it into ChatGPT or Copilot, and say, hey, this is what my resume is. I need it to read like this, or I need it to talk and highlight and more focus on some of these skills that I have, because you've got the skills, obviously. It's just a matter of making someone who's in recruiting or HR feel like, that you've got those skills to be able to pull you into those interviews.
Okay, that's fair.
Awesome, thanks, Johnson. Samer, do you wanna add anything here?
Sure.
No. Oh, sorry. I
Also,
thought you were saying me. Go ahead.
You want to add something?
Oh no, I'm all ears.
Very good. Okay, let me explain the things from another perspective. Every time we want to apply for jobs or search for job, we are looking at a resume, and the resume is always being taught by the coaches that maintain 1 to 2 pages maximum. And then when I'm looking at your experience, your background, and education, 2 pages is unfair. It doesn't look fair for you. You could write 4 or 5 pages to express all your experience and previous knowledge and skills. So why are HR asking for 2 pages? Because they want only to match the job that you are applying for. Whenever we look at a website, we look at job posts, it looks like 1 to 2 pages job posts. So HR, and again, I will target HR in my talk. They are very nasty, very lazy, and they don't want to give a lot of time. So they have a job post of 2 pages. They want to see a resume of 2 pages, and they look matching. Imagine yourself as a very good fisherman, and you can hunt 20 different type of fishes. But if you go to the sea and you throw all your hooks in the water, that will look like a lot of hooks. It will be scary for all the fishes. You will not catch anything. Pick only 1 hook that will catch only 1 type of fishes and throw it to the water, and you will end up with the right fish. That is your resume. Your resume is your selected skills and qualification that will catch you that job. Not everything you have. It's not your biography. It's 1 hook for 1 job. And that's how you get the job. And whenever you also look at more courses and training, think, is this a course or training that would take me to that job? or it's just adding your portfolio in other things, that is scary for HR. HR don't want to hire people who have a lot of different skills and experience in different areas because they have different KPI than yours. They don't want only just to fill the position. They want it to last in the position for like 2 years. That will achieve
Okay.
their KPI. And when you are very overqualified, it looks like you are going to spend a couple of months with them until you land the best job. And that's scary.
Mm.
HR is looking for someone who's missing some skills so they can spend time on training them. Of course, when you join a company, you expect to receive training. And when they train you, they will train you in your specialty. They will not train you about carpentry or electrician or how to, yeah, they will teach you about your skills, your job. And when they teach you about your job, that means you are missing some skills in this job. If you are not missing any skills, you're overqualified, so they have nothing to do. They're stuck. You are demotivated in the job. They want to motivate you. They can't give you training. You have everything. So every time when HR, when they hire someone, they follow something called best fit theory. Best fit is this is the job. It's a full job. And they reach up to here with your skills. They want to see less skills so they can give you some training that will keep you locked in the job for 2 years. Whenever you are overqualified, they don't want to hire. This is a wrong hiring. You're bigger than the chair that you'll be seated in, so it won't be comfortable.
Okay. That's
Okay.
fair.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, do you have any follow-up question before I move to Muhammad?
No, I want to be mindful. Thank you so much. You've all
Okay,
given me a
awesome.
lot to think about. Thank you for sharing.
You're good. No worries. Happy to help you. Okay, Muhammad, go ahead, sir.
Hey everyone, I know you guys are wrapping up, but thanks for taking my last question. My name is Mohammed Junaid. I'm pursuing Masters in Information System, and I'm skilled in cloud and AI. So recently, with the help of networking, I landed an interview with a recruiter first, and then it's going to be potentially move forward. Based on that, it's a tech company, and the role is for cloud operations. So based on your guys' experience, how would I like present myself in the best way so that I'd be likable and move forward in the interview process?
Well, Jonathan, do you want to take this one first, and then I'll...
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a great question, and there really isn't an easy answer because I feel like you're already, I mean, you've been picked up, you're going to be in the interview. As far as like presenting yourself, like I feel like you've already presented yourself in the best way possible in order to get to this space. I don't know what your interview skills are like, but the things I always tell people when it comes to interview prep is just, you know, get used to answering some of the questions, you know, that are, you know, I typically ask people to Google or Bing or whatever your search engine of choice is out there, you know, the top 25 questions that are asked, because it's not like, it's very rare that, and I've been through, at this point in my life, on both sides of the table, I've been through probably thousands of interviews, and it's very rare that people come up with their own like creative interview question. There's companies out there that they talk about like, oh, this is the one interview question that the CEO of whatever company asks in order to determine whatever. Those are all great articles. I don't want to say they're all BS, but at the end of the day, like if you get with the top 20, 25 most commonly asked questions and you're prepared to answer those, then I'd say you're prepared. I mean, that's the thing. Have answers to think about those topics, because if you walk in and somebody says, you know, tell me about yourself, and you're like, well, I was born in the late 1970s. I mean, that's like, you know, and I'm joking, of course, nobody says that, right? But if you go in and you know, give your elevator pitch, you give your kind of, you know, 2 to 3 minute speech about who you are, and then somebody says, you know, hey, tell me about a time that you failed. That's a very common interview question, right? And I've heard this legit when I was doing some interview prep with somebody. They're like, "Well, I've never failed anything." Okay, like fortunately, I wasn't on camera when I like I was muted, because like I legitimately laughed out loud. And I was like, if anybody ever says that to me in a real interview, I would just be like, one, I would automatically not trust whatever you're saying, because everybody's failed at something, right? It's not something that people often talk a lot about in social media, but we've all failed at something. I failed out of college at 19 years old. So I think it's one of those things that, like, again, just being able to comfortably, and then time yourself. I think that's one thing that people do. And you talked about presenting yourself, time yourself answering some of these questions. really you want to hit at roughly the 2 to 3 minute mark is what my goal is. What I try to strive for is somebody asks me a question, I try to respond in 2 to 3 minutes. Then that gives them an opportunity to ask me further questions about what I've said. But I don't want to tell a story about, I don't want to do chapter and verse of my entire life. I'm in my 40s, late 40s. I don't want to tell them every single experience that I've ever had where I failed. I mean, I feel like that would take up far more than an hour, right? But I want to highlight some of the ones that really come to me very quickly. And I use my failing out of college often when it comes to something I failed, because it's then a redemption story, because I went back. It took me 13 years all told to finish my undergraduate work, but I finished it. And so it's a story of persistence. It's a story of perseverance. It's a story of getting knocked down off the horse and getting back up again. So those are the things I think that employers want to hear, and you want to be able to convey and sell yourself as somebody is, hey, look, these are the things that happen. You're going to fail at projects. You're going to fail to meet deadlines. You're going to fail to meet objectives. Those are all going to happen. And then, but yeah, I typically tell people to go and film themselves doing it. We've all got one of these, right? You can prop this up on your computer and you can film yourself answering some of these questions. Listen to the way that you respond. Listen to how many times you say and those are filler words, just so that way you can be practiced and polished as much as possible. I think that you're already in the interview loop, so you've already presented yourself. I want to pat you on the back and say you've already presented yourself in such a way that you're in, so you're doing the right things.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for that advice.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. And again, just a quick tip before we go for the selfie. Again, companies will hire you if you are a problem solver. They need someone to solve problems, not to create problems. So if you are able to present yourself in a way that you are aware about the challenges, aware about the industry, aware about the cloud itself, what kind of cloud they are using, what products on the cloud they are using to operate, those kind of things will put you ahead of everyone else. And if you're able to present those things in a crisp way, not just tell me a story that would make me confused about what exactly happened, and there is no real context or real numbers in your stories, then unfortunately I'm not going to be able to understand how big is your bandwidth, what's your impact, how can you help me raise the bar, so those kind of things are very crucial for you to prepare. You need to, again, try to do some information interview with some people in those company if you can before the interview, to understand again what they appreciate, what they value, how can you solve those problems, how can you put the stories from your background to show and prove to them that you've been there, you know what's happening, and you know how to solve those problems. Does that help?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ahmed. Thanks for that advice. Also, I forgot to mention that it was an internship position. So whatever you say applies to that, or is something else that you want to add?
It applies to that too. Again, internship is almost like a full job, so they want to hire you to do something, and then hopefully they want to keep you. They don't want to, get you an internship, then they just see you leave. They want to, companies do those internships just to give themselves a chance to see somebody, that they will invest in for long term later on. So that's their goal out of the internships.
Got it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the advice.
No problem. Okay, so it's time for the selfie. So if you guys are not shy, you want to come to the camera and become, celebrities for this call, this is your time. We will take the group selfie as we used to do here, and share it on social media, on LinkedIn and others. So join us if you can. Again, we'll put this on social media. I choose a different scene this time. Hopefully this would look nice. So I'll give it maybe.
Love it.
Yeah, I'll give it a few seconds if anyone else want to join. Let me see here. Immersive space. Let's try that 3D. Let's see how this will go. Oh,
you lost your face.
Oh, I did immersive. Okay. How can I skip this? Sorry. Let's do this together. Okay. What happened? Why my camera is off? Okay, sorry. Okay, now you can see me. Now else want to join? Okay. So if you're ready, I'll say 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Really enjoyed the questions. Hope this was useful for everybody, and I hope you had some wisdom out of this call. Feel free to come join us next week. We'll have another call at the same time next week, the same link. Tell your friends this is free, and we're trying to help as many people as we can. So it's all good for you to join. Jonathan, go ahead. I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to verify, is this going to be weekly in 2025, or is it just in January, or what's the?
No, actually, I was supposed to do this next week, but I did it this week. But I'll do again next week because I already have the invite sent. So I'll do next week, then I'll do every 2 weeks as usual.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Okay, thanks everybody.
Great seeing y'all.
Enjoy.
Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye bye.